Welcome to Data with Clarence, and today we are going to be talking about Power BI. So we're going to do a very basic introduction to Power BI for those that are new to Power BI to help you understand what exactly you can do with Power BI. We're going to do a number of videos relating to Power BI just to teach you certain features of Power BI. So this is just going to be an introductory video. So hopefully you've got Power BI installed so that you can follow along on this introductory course. So let's get into it. So once you have Power BI installed, now the first thing that you'll see as soon as you open the Power BI application is that over here you can see a various number of sources that you can select from. And what's important about this is where you want to click on if you want to create a new Power BI report and you've got any existing Power BI dashboards that you've worked on that essentially appear here under shared with you or the recent, right? So what you want to do is you want to click blank report because we want to create a Power BI report from scratch, essentially. So as soon as you get here, you can essentially see that this is actually Power BI. I'm just gonna click this. So as soon as you get into Power BI, you can see this is the real state of Power BI. So at the top here, you've got a number of options. So you're able to get data, Excel. These are essentially the data sources that you can get your data from. You can also transform your data if you wanted. And if you go here over to your right, you can essentially see that you've got your data. So this is where your data that you have loaded would appear. And on the visualization pane, this is where you select the various sort of Power BI dashboards or sort of like visualizations that you want to use in your visuals. So you can use pie charts, donut charts, and all those different visuals. And over here, this is where you want to apply certain filters. So you can apply filters at a page level or at sort of like all the pages. And you can also apply some of the filters specifically to a certain visual. So before we get into the detail, what I'm going to show you is how you can essentially import data onto Power BI. So there's a number of ways of importing data. So if you click get data, so you can see that you can get data from Excel, all these different ways of essentially importing data. But already here, you can see there's a very easy shortcut for you to import your data. So what's important for you to understand is that you need to select sort of the format in which your data is sitting, because that's how essentially you'll be able to import it. So you need to understand, is your data sitting in a database or is it sitting in Excel or CSV, right? And if you feel like those options are not sufficient, you can just click on more. When you click more, you can see there's all these different sources. So Power BI is really good in the sense that you can genuinely import data from various sources, and I think it supports a lot of sort of data sources that are out there that you might use in your day to day. So I'm going to choose a text in CSV because the data that I want to import today is essentially in that format. So you select the visual that you want to use, and you're going to say connect. So once you say connect, you can see that now you can see the different data sources that you can import. So I want to import the sales data. Then you say open. So what's important in this step is that when you connect Power BI to your data source, you can either load your data or transform the data. The difference is that loading your data is when you know your data is clean and you don't have any issues. But as data analyst, what we want to do is to essentially check if our data is in the correct format, there's any issues. So you want to click transform. So clicking transform allows you to modify your data before you actually load it, just to ensure there's no error. So you can see here, I don't see any errors. There's literally zero errors. So what's I'm going to discuss how you can get this sort of symbols here for you so that you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to understand how to essentially find issues within your data. And I think another nice thing here is that this is where you can rename your sort of table. So under here, you can change the name of your table to whatever format that you want. We're going to discuss the different things that you can do on here on Power Queries or Power Queries where you want to transform your data, but we're going to do a separate video specifically for this. So because we are happy with our data, there's no issues, I'm going to go and close and apply. So closing up and applying is when you're saying you are happy with your data doesn't have issues, then you just want to load your data. Cool. So normally you'd want to clean your data if there's certain issues, but our data is also clean, so we're not going to be doing any cleaning. So once your data is loaded, you get the message to say your data has been successfully loaded. And now you can see on the data area here, now you are able to see that there is sales data. You can actually drop down and then be able to see the actual data itself. So now what's important about this is that if you go over here, so over here you can see that you've got this table view. So if you wanted to view your data, you click on the table view and then your data set will actually appear and you can see what exactly is in your table. And then here, this is called the model view. The model view, this is where you create relationships between tables. But because we only have one table, we won't be able to create relationships. But we're going to do another video explaining relationships. There's also a new feature, which is text query view. So here you are able to so you're able to run certain queries on your data. An example would be let me see if I can run the execute sort of feature. I'm going to say execute or evaluate, right? So you can actually evaluate your table, and you're going to say run. So this essentially just is giving you a view of your data. So there's a number of different scripts that you can essentially run to get an understanding of you. So this is a very cool feature if you want to query your data and get an understanding of your data. Now there's also a new one, which is the TMDL view. So we're going to do a separate video clearly explaining this because it's a very interesting feature, but it's very, very new. It was literally introduced early this year in January. So with that view, we understand what we can do and all the different things. I think another important thing is that you can always add new columns to your data set. If you can see here, there's new columns. So you can always improve your table that you've essentially imported. Now, what's important is that I'm going to show you how to use your data to do some sort of visualizations. So important under visualizations, this is where you will get all your different sort of tables or ways of visualizing your data. So for example, I'm going to select the donut chart. So you just click on here, then your donut chart appears here. So what I want to do is to see the weekly sales. I'm going to take the weekly sales as values because this is actually how much money was made for a particular week. So you can always drag and expand your sort of cells. So the nice thing is that when you go to your actual values, you can see it's doing a count. You can always change this to a count distinct and all of that. So what I want to do is you can also go and look for is holiday, make it a legend. Cool. So what this is showing you is that a lot of the sales were made when it was not a holiday. So during holidays, the company doesn't necessarily make a lot of sales, essentially. So this is a very simplistic way of creating a dashboard. You can also add other sort of ways of visualizing your data. We can say, let's say, we can take the store under here, and then let's see if we can see which store was making the most sales. Okay, we can also play around and see if I can put store as a legend. So you can see these are the various different stores essentially. All right, so the stores have been allocated numbers one up until so the number really does go very far. So essentially, what you are seeing here is that okay, this is the number of sales, the number of weekly sales that each store is making. You can see some of the sort of stores are making less money. So this is really a way that you want to sort of create. This is literally just random selecting certain dashboards and all of that. Well, there's other nice features that you can essentially apply. If you go to insert, so on insert, you can also add text. Essentially, you can add text box and just be able to type like and give your sort of dashboard or make it slightly neater. So this is another very cool feature that comes with the Power BI. You can just make sure that you highlight this, maybe increase the font size, so that you sort of have a name for your dashboard view so that it's not just blank and something like that essentially. And you can also add sort of different shapes. So if you wanted to use certain shapes for I don't know whatever that you want to use it, or to divide your sort of dashboard and all of that, you can just come over here, create it, and just drag it all the way all the way to there. You can also bring this down So it's very easy, and you don't have to write any sort of code just to create your visual. So you can just put things like that and just make your visual sort of look nice. And you've also got the option of importing certain images. So if you wanted to add the logo of a certain company to make your visuals look really good, you can also do that here. Now, the nice thing also with Power BI is that if you go here, so if you select your dashboard, you see there is this here where you actually see the details of your dash of your sort of visualization. Here you can format it. So if you wanted to change how certain things are aligned, or you wanted to change like the way that it's being displayed, color, or you want to add borders or anything like that, this is where you want to do all those modifications. So this allows you to sort of modify your actual dashboard. And you can also add titles. So if you go to general here, you can add titles and all of that, and where you can essentially modify your title. You can even make your title bold. You can see now it's getting bold and all of that. You can even change the color. So there's really a lot of nice features that you can essentially use. So the nice thing is that we're going to be doing a full series on the Power BI features. So we're going to cover each and every single item here in more detail, and we're also going to be doing some projects around this. So you will be utilizing a lot of this more often, and you'll get to understand Power BI more. Hopefully, this was a good introduction to Power BI, just to get you to understand what exactly can you do with Power BI. There's a lot of things that you can do. So this was it's just a basic intro. So now at least you know how to import data and visualize your data.